Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello,
There we go.
everybody.
There we go.
Hi.
Good.
Thank you, Susie and Ernie, for that delicious cake.
And the wine, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm surprised we never got it this week.
We have to appoint someone every week to pass out the drinks.
Why not?
Not a bad idea.
No, I think it's a good
Susie,
idea.
Yaakov got back okay?
Baruch Hashem. Baruch
Good.
Hashem. Thank God.
Right. Does he have to go into quarantine?
14 days.
Oh no,
Oh,
terrible. How do they check?
I don't know. They weren't as serious this time as last time. Last time they
No,
were
they
very
check.
strict.
They check with you. They come. They call you.
They call you
come
and they
onto
monitor
the
you on the
balcony.
phone.
They track your phone.
Yeah,
Ah.
he's not allowed to go to the kitchen. They track, unless, I guess he could leave the phone in his room and go to the kitchen, but he's very serious because he can't afford.
Can you go to the bathroom
You have to have a bathroom in your room or something.
in your quarantine?
Yeah.
You need a porta potty.
A designated bathroom.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
That's crazy.
I hear you, Esty. Where are you? Where are you hiding?
I'm here with Walter. I don't know. We getting it organized.
Is
Did you see
Bernie, they're having a bar mitzvah this weekend, right? A deal. He said, whoever conquers Kiryat Sefer, I will give to that person my daughter, Achsa. And we went through a chazal about 4 people asked Shaloka Hogan. They didn't ask correctly. Hashem responded to them, to 3 of them correctly, and to 1 of them not correctly. And we know Yiftach was responded, that the other 3, Kalev and Shaul, they got a good result. David, but by Yiftach it was not a good result. So the Musar, I want to learn this piece of Musar Nevi'im. I think it's a very important piece because it explains to us all 4 of them asked Shelo Kahogen. So why did Hashem respond Kahogen to 3 of them? I mean, and not to Yiftach. What's the pshat there? It says the Musar Nevi'im, Mipnei Mala Elu Hamenuyin Kan Mitchila Zimin HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kahogen. Like we said, Eliezer, Eved Avram, right, said, whoever comes and feeds feeds the camels, I'm going to bring as a wife to Yitzchak. Well, it could have been anybody who showed up. So he also didn't plan Kahogen, and same thing with Kalev and Shaul, who said he was going to give his daughter Michal and Kalev as well, but yet they were answered Kahogen. Otniel ben Kenaz showed up for Achsa. David HaMelech showed up for Shaul. Rivka showed up for Eliezer. So why did they get responded in a positive way while Yiftach, his daughter, came out and he had to, she either she was killed, or according to most Chazal, she was kept in a room for the rest of her life. Nira Lomar. Shazeo Mipnei She'elu Rishonim. Af Shebikshu Shelo Kahogen. Even though these other 3 asked Shelo Kahogen, Aval Aveira Lo Haysa B'zeh. There was no sin. Ki ilu hayam izdam eleim achas min hapsulin. If somebody was not kosher to get married, lo yitzrichim l'kaimes divrei. They wouldn't have had to fulfill. Ki havi kimasna al masha kosus b'tor shedvar b'telim. If you make a t'nai and you say, I'm never going to put on tefillin, such a t'nai doesn't work because you're doing it against something that says in the Torah. So if one of the psulim had shown a mamzer or somebody had shown up, they would not have been required to go against their word. Rak shalogenu mipnei she'ein adam tzarech lotzim mipiv davar she'efshar yachrech kach l'kaimo. Why is it considered shalok hogan? Because these tzaddikim should not have uttered words where there's a possibility that they might not be able to be Makayim, the words that they said. So since, in essence, what they did was not an Aveira, lefichach nizdam lem kohogen. Aval eitzal yiftach, ilo hayam nizdam lo dover tomei. He said, whatever comes out of the door of my house, I'm going to offer as an ola. If a pig had come out, hareu nechshav la'avera biyado, that would be considered an Aveira. Sharei amru b'nedorim. Shelo yomer adam la'Hashem oila la'Hashem mincha mishum shema lo yigmar dvarav. Maybe he won't finish his words. V'nimtza shehotzi shem shemal vatola. Elo yomer tomid oila la'Hashem, not la'Hashem ola, but ola la'Hashem. V'im kein kan kiven shama yiftach v'alisiu ola la'Hashem. Im hayam izdam lo dover tomei. Hayelochet shehotzi shem shemayim levatola. Ubitnei shelo hayazoyer b'dover sheyesh bo mishum aveira, lachen lo nizdam lo kohogen. So the Musar Nevi'im tries to explain why Yiftach was not answered appropriately. Now, we read Pasuk Gimel, Vayelkedat Niel ben Knaz achi kalev hakaton mimenu. So, Atniel ben Knaz, we are going to learn, he's one of the Shoftim that we are going to learn in a few prakim. He conquered Kiryat Sefer, and Kalev gave Atniel Achsa. She knew that her husband was a Talmid Chacham, so the Achsa asked from Kalev, her father, to make sure there's parnasa. She sort of parachuted off the chamor. Kalev malach. Kalev asked her, "What do you want?" Bracha. I need a bracha. Ki eretz hanegev natati have natati legulot mayim. Vayitela Kalev et gulot ilit et gulot tachtit. He gave her a field as well as water to support the field. Says Masechta Tmura Tezayim. My vatitznach. What is this funny language? The word sanchanim, the paratroopers come from this word, vatitznach. She sort of floated off the donkey. Amrav Yitzchak Amrlo, machamor zekevin she'elo machal be'evuso miyatzoik. A donkey, if it doesn't have food in its trough, it immediately starts braying. A wife too, if there's no parnas in the home, she's gonna cry out as well. Says the Musar Nevi'im, we learned this whole Maisa maybe 6 months ago when we went through the first prakim of Yoshua. The fact that it's repeated here in Sefer Shoftim, there's a lot of importance. What's so important here? The spies that Moshe sent, they said, we're not going to be able to conquer this land. Kalev Yoshua lo iskimu l'divrayim. Kalev and Yoshua were the outliers. They did not agree. And it says in Masechta Sota Lamed Daled, that's why it says in Pasuk, Vayas Kalev esa'am el Moshe, the lo nemar Vayas Yoshua. Yoshua was silent. It was Kalev that tried to get Klal Yisrael to make Aliyah. Mishum kisheposach Yoshua l'dvar l'daber l'tovat haaretz, amrulei din rosh k'tia yimolel. Perish Rashi sheshetku mezifa v'amrulo mi sherosh k'tua shein lo bonim hu yidaber b'fanenu. Yoshua had no children. So the people said, don't open your mouth. You have nothing to say. You want us to go into Eretz Yisrael, but you don't have a family. So that's why Kalev had to open up. But Kanav v'zeh, Ev Shalom Adam Raglim, Harei Amud L'Kachi Nam Lotzim B'Chvosha Aretz Mishum Dehem Achasim Abneihem Shelo Yulavaz. Maybe the Meraglim were concerned to go into Eretz Yisrael because of their children. It would be difficult for them. V'lachen Kishiyizchil Yoshua Daber Amru L'Kachu Rotza B'Milcham Mishem Shelo Bonim. Maybe Yoshua is not that concerned about the war because he has no children. V'lo ma'ilo bonim, az gam hu lo haya rotzeh lamid otam b'sakana. Maybe Yoshua would feel like we do. He doesn't want to put them in danger. V'lachein rak biyad kalev haya koach litzatzev kinegdam nidnishu hu haya ben bonim. Kalev had children. So he could make an argument to the people, you know what? We still need to go up into Eretz Yisrael. V'nei b'vadai, sheidat ha'meraglim hayu matichin dvarim gam k'neged Kalev. Vayu amrim alav, shu achzari v'lechpat lo b'tzar shel bonav. They also told Kalev, you're cruel, you don't care about your kids. Ki lo ken haya maskim l'divrayim. Otherwise they would have agreed. V'lachein siper ha'katuv shtei pamim, ad kama haya bal rachmim gam levito. We see here in these stories about Kalev and his daughter, he did have Rachmanis on his children. Ki harei mayanot hamayim hayubot hazman hadavar yoter yakar b'Eretz Yisrael. Water sources were the most valuable thing in the land of Israel. V'chol zeh kishabat bito b'ksha mimenu she'yitein lasadei mayanot hamayim asa tekev v'ritzonah. He immediately gave in. U'mi she'einu bal midas tovos lo haya oseh davar zeh. So we see he did have Rachmanis on his children. Even so, therefore, he was the right person to be able to talk to Klal Yisrael about still going up and conquering the land. Pasuk Tet Zayin. Uvnei Keni, Choten Moshe, Alu Me'irat Marim, et Bnei Yuda Midbar Yuda, Asher B'Negev Arad, Vayelech Vayeshev et Ha'am. Yitro was the father-in-law of Moshe. His descendants are known as the Keni. And we're going to see throughout Sefer Shoftim and Sefer Shmuel the relationship between the Keni and Klal Yisrael. So first of all, I want to read a Gemara from Sota Yud Aleph. Amrav Simoy. Shloisha hayu ba'osa eitza. Bilam, Iyuv, v'Yisro. Paro in Mitzrayim had three notable advisors. Bilam, Iyuv, and Yisro. And he wanted advice what to do with the Jewish people. Bilam Yatznera. Bilam advised Paro to kill the Jewish people, to throw the sons into the Nile. What happened to Bilam? He was eventually killed by Klal Yisrael in the battle against Midian. Iyuv Sheshasak, Nidon B'Yisurim. The book of Job, Iyuv, he was silent. He didn't give any advice. He was silent. So he was punished with suffering, the suffering of Job. Yitro Shabarach, Yitro said, I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around as an advisor to this evil person. He had descendants that sat in the Sanhedrin. Shenemar, umishpechot sofrim yoshvei yavitz, tiratayim shimatim shuchatim hema kenim, habayim achbat avi beit racha. So because of this act of Yisro, their children, his descendants were zoicha to be in Sanhedrin. Amrav Yochanan. This is a Gemara in Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin Kuf Daled. Amrav Yochanan. Bischar kiren lo vayochal lachem. when Moshe runs to Midian, after he's afraid because he killed the Mitzri in Mitzrayim, so he helps the daughters of Yisro. So Yisro says, invite him in so we can feed him. Because of this act of chesed, Zachu bnei bona v'yoshvu b'lishkas hagozis. And it quotes the same pasuk. So,
Did Yisro convert?
yes. Chazal tell us he sampled all the avodah zarah in the world, and finally he recognized that Yiddishkeit is the correct one. But it says when he didn't want to go with Moshe Rabbeinu, he went back to his own land. Right when they left, he invited Yisro to travel with him, and he didn't go with them.
Right.
But so here, Kishacholak Yoshua Eretz Yisrael Shvatim, Hiniach Doishna Shel Yericho, 500 am al 400 amam, Netanah Livnei Yonadav ben Rachav Chelik Berosh, Vayu Ochlim Otam 440 shana.
But what Ellen is asking, what I'm asking, were the Canaanite Jewish people at the end? Was there a tribe of Canaanite, and they were all Jews, and did they intermarry with the rest of the tribes?
Yes. So you see, Yoshua gave the Bnei Canaanite land in Yoshua, and they were there for 440 years. That's until the time Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash, because it says Vayi b'shmonim shana v'arba'meot shana.
So they were Jewish people, that's all.
Well, it says like this: Yoshve Yavitz, Shinichos Yericho v'alchu lahem etzel Yavitz. They all went to Otniel ben Knaz, Lilmod Heimenu Torah. They became Talmidei Chachamim. They studied with Otniel ben Knaz Torah in yeshiva. So obviously they were Jewish.
At least some of them.
L'mi yelamed ba'al chaser lilmod etzel chasel l'mi yelamed. Uvnei kenim chaser mesha alu me'ir atmorim. It says, Hayu yoshvei oalim nosim makom makom, vayu lahem shalom im Yisrael, uve'et lachem Yudah maknani alu me'ir atmorim shebem kom el chama, v'nityashvu b'midbar Yudah, vayeshev dam bivrit shalom v'ashkei, k'mo sh'askar Shaul et lachem im Amalek, so some of them perhaps did not convert, but obviously some of them did. And they studied Torah with Osniel ben Knaz, and some of the children, but they were in good yachas with Klal Yisrael, Sydney. They lived in peace with them. So not all of them converted. Some of them remained Bnei Keni, and some of them went to study Torah with Osniel and became Talmidei Chachamim.
Can we presume that they were that they kept the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach?
Certainly, otherwise, yeah, we wouldn't have been allowed to keep them there. By the way, another one of the Meforshim. They were given an area near Yehuda to dwell. And eventually Shaul, when he goes to fight Amalek, has to tell them Sur Rudu Mitoch Amaleki. So there's this chesed that he did with Moshe, we do back to them. So not all of them were Jews, but some of them remained Jews. Some of them had converted and studied with Osniel. Says when it says Alu Me'irat Tmorim, Hayalehem Mala Shenichu Tanuge Oilam Azev Al Chula Midbar Lilmod Torah Matniel Kemosha Muzal. That's the way the Sifri says. Listen to this, what the Alshich says. Nokat Shem Keni the Yitro Ba Mehatov Shebekayin. By the Gilgulim, Kayin had good in him. The good part of Kayin went into Yisro. That's why they're called the Keni. That's what the Alshich says. So it says when Chava said, "Kaniti Ishas Hashem," Niskayim b'tzad ma be'elo talmidim shedavku b'toras Hashem. Okay. Weiter. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Vayelch Yudat Shimon Achiv. Yudah went with his brother Shimon. Vayakutak Nani Yoshev Tzvat. This is not Tzvat in the north. This is Tzvat in the area in Judea, in where Shevet Yehuda was. Vayachrimu oto vayikrat shema ir chorma, because vayachrimu means they destroyed it completely. By the way, look at Rashi. Rashi quotes the Chazal I read, that they were given in Erev Yericho until the time of Beis HaMikdash. Umi sheyivne Beis HaBechira bechalko yitlana kedei sheyeh l'chol Yisrael chelik Beis HaBechira. Unesanu l'vnei Yisrael. They gave it to the children of Yisrael. V'alchu eitz l'otniel b'knazu yayvitz from Mid Yehuda shebnei Gedaran lilmod Torah. But it has to be not all of them. Vayokod Yudat Aza vet Gula vet Ashkelon vet Gula. So Yehuda went all the way to the Plishtim area, because Gaza and Ashkelon are where the Plishtim. They didn't conquer completely, but they did conquer some of that area. Vet Ekron vet Gula. Vayashem et Yudah vayorosh et Ahar. Hashem was with Yehuda, and he was able to conquer. Kilolo rishet yoshvei ha'emek ki rechav barzel lahem. He could not conquer the valley people because they had chariots, and they could not overcome that. Vaynula Kalev et Chevron, kasher diber Moshe. Vayorish misham et shlosh bnei anak. He inherited the areas where the giants were. Bet hayavusi yoshev Yerushalayim lo rishu bnei Binyamin. Vayeshev hayavusi bnei Yerushalayim al hayom hazeh. We discussed. I sent a picture last week of a citadel in Jerusalem that they were not able to conquer. The Yevusi, that remained until David HaMelech had to conquer that in his day. So it stayed for another 300 years. So that's Yehuda. So Yehuda went first.
So Shimon conquered the land with Yehuda.
Correct, because Shimon lived in the area around Yehuda.
So he fought together with Yehuda.
He fought together with Yehuda.
Okay.
Few more Chazal here that are very interesting. When it talks about Bnei Keni Chosei Moshe, Shnei Bnei Adam Kiblu Shnei Tzadikim v'Nizbrachu b'Shvilon. Two people were Makabel Tzadikim, and they showed them Gmilas Chesed, and they were both blessed. V'lo haya lahem banim mitchila, they didn't have children initially. U'mishnichnesu levateihem natan lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu banim. When these tzaddikim came to visit, Hashem gave them sons. Lavan v'Yisro. Lavan efshar haya lo ben v'hayabita roes tzono. How could it be that if Lavan had a son, why were the daughters out there shepherding the sheep? Because when Yaakov comes to meet Rachel, she's the one that's tending the sheep. If there were sons there, what are they doing there? Must be he didn't have any sons. Ela shelo hayu lavanim. Mishenichnas Yaakov lebeson yisbarach b'nechasim uvavanim. Dichsiv nechashti v'arvacheni Hashem biglal lecha. Uksiv, later on when they chase after Yaakov, Yishma divrei b'nei Lavan. So that only happened afterwards. So we see the schus of being makabel tzadikim in your home is a schus for banim. Yisro, dichsiv ulechohen midyan sheva banot. Efshar yalo banim uvnotav rohot. Could he have had other sons and he sent off the daughters to do shepherding? Ela shelo hayu lo. Umishenichnas Moshe lebeton izbarach v'hayu lo banim. Dichsiv uvnei keni chosei Moshe. So we see the same thing happened to Lavan happened to happened to Yisro. Now, Chazal tell us another name of Lavan. Bilam. Bilam and Lavan were the same people. So that's according to many Chazal. So this Chazal we mentioned initially about Lavan and Iyuv and Yisro, you can see they all lived together at the same time. So Umitnei shel Lavan lo isnagim Yaakov kishura. Now Lavan certainly didn't treat Yaakov properly. Lachein av shezacha mechamos Lavanim avolo matzinu shabono yikshem b'toivim. He had children, but we don't see that these children of Lavan amounted to anything. He wasn't zoicha to the full bracha. Aval Yitro, shahayim mitnagin Moshe kishura, zacha levanim toivim shayu chavim l'makom lebrios, who ended up also in the Sanhedrin. Now, I just want to mention, we had mentioned this before, that it wasn't coincidence that they could not capture all of Yerushalayim. Says the Rashi, Mechaz hayav Yerushalayim sheshmo Yevusi. There was an area called Yevusi, umivnei Avimelech hayu. Avimelech, the king in Canaan who had kidnapped Sarah Imenu, and then Rivka. Maybe Avimelech was like a name Talmi, that a son and a king and a son have the same name. So the law Rishon of Shvuah shel Avram Avimelech. Remember, it says Ulanini Ulanechdi. Avram and Avimelech made a bris. We laid it on Rosh Hashanah. And until came David HaMelech. So because of that bris, Yerushalayim did not fall. Weiter. So after Yehuda, Vayalu Beit Yosef Kamein Beit El Vashem Imam. The Beit Yosef tried to conquer the other Canaanim in their area, just like Yehuda did. Vayatiru Beit Yosef Beit El, V'Shem Ha'ir Lefanim Luz. They came upon a city Luz. Vayiru HaShomrim Ish Yotzei Min Ha'ir. They found that one of the guards left the city of Luz. Vayomrulo, they told the guard, Harenu na et mevoyer, show us the secret entrance. Vasinu imcha chased, and we will treat you kindly. Vayarem et mevoyer, vayaku et ha'ir lefi charev, that ha'ish v'et kol mishpachto shilechu, they saved the person that let them in. Says the Gemara in Sota, Tanya Rav Meir Omer, Koifin leVia, sheschar leVia ein lashir. People need to be escorted. Let's say when somebody leaves your home, you need to escort them. If not all the way home, you got to escort them. There's a mitzvah leVia. And you even force somebody to do that. Why? Because the reward for leVia has no shear. So this Kanani in the city of Luz showed them leVia. What chesed did they do to him? They killed everybody else except for him. He didn't do anything. He just showed them the way in. It saved him and his family for the rest of the time. somebody who actually escorts somebody with his feet. Halachas kama v'kama. So if he didn't go with his feet, says the Gemara, b'may heralehem. Chizkiyahu b'fiv akam. He showed him with his mouth. He like made a sign with his mouth. Or he pointed it. So he didn't do a very big thing, yet he got a huge schar. Says the Musar Nevi'im, Ha'inyan shel mitzvat Leviya, b'chtei la'arot la'mitlavet haderech. You want to show the person you're escorting the right way. Shu tzarich lalechet ba, ki lekein efshar sheyato b'dracho ve'yavol makom sakana. Person could get lost, be in danger. V'chein gam b'inin hazeh. Harei hashomrim bikshu mi ha'ish sheyirem et mevo ha'ir. First of all, before Shem Shabbat Shatam, it shirem lo ata shara galui. Sham ata sakana lefnei melechet bo. El tashar nisto shesham yin sakana kanis bo. They knew where the front door was. They needed somebody to show them the back door, and he showed them the back door, because to avoid a makom sakana. So that's the point of lavoya, to escort somebody away from your home so that they remain safe. Weiter. Vayelach ha'ish eretz hachitim vayiven ir vayikra shma Luz hu shma hayom hazeh. This guy who escaped from Luz built another city called Luz. Lo bilbas, Rashi says in quoting Masechta Sota, Lo bilbala Sancheriv v'lo echriva Nebuchadnezzar. Sancheriv, the king of the Assyrians in 702 BCE, came and took all of the 10 tribes away and mixed everybody up. And not only that, he mixed all the nations up. So the truth is, we don't really know who a real Mitzri is, who an Ammoni is, who an Moavi is, who Amaleki is, because of the time of Sancheriv, he mixed everybody up. But the Gemara in Sota says the city of Luz was never mixed up. And also Nebuchadnezzar also didn't destroy it. The Gemara has a lot of stories about the city of Luz, that it was like a magical city. People didn't die there. So here the Meforshim don't go into it, but in the Gemara it does go into that, about the special place of Luz. Like it says in Sota, Mem Vav, Tanya, he Luz should sovim bot chelas. They used to make the chelas there. He Luz shabas on cheriv lo bil below Nebuchadnezzar blachriva. Af malach hamoves ein la reshus la'avor bo. Elo zekenim shaba bizman shadaitem kotzalem yoitzin chutz lachom avein mesim. When you're in the city limits of Luz, you don't die. When a zaken has reached the end of his life, he would walk out of the city, and then the Malach HaMavis would be able to get him. But inside the city of Luz, it didn't happen. Very special.
Where is it today?
I don't think we know. Because I
Today.
sent you maps.
What is it like? What is it they used to call a city that you live forever?
The Steinsaltz says the land of the Hittites, the Hittim, is north of Syria in the region of modern-day Turkey. And he built a city there, and he called it Luz. But the Luz that the Gemara talks about is in Eretz Yisrael proper. So, weiter. V'lo harish menashet beit sha'an vet notel.
Is it Luz where Yaakov was? Wasn't that Luz?
Luz shema ir barishona.
Yeah, so that was Luz.
So that may be the Luz that the Gemara is talking about.
No, but
Yeah,
Shiloh.
here the Steinsaltz says the Hittim was near Turkey, but our Mesorah is at Luz in Eretz Yisrael. I don't think we know where it is.
It's a different Luz.
Then it says Lo Rish Menashe Beit
If
Sha'an
you knew,
Vet
everybody
Notel.
would be living there.
Lorish Mashet Beit Sha'an. He was not successful at conquering Beit Sha'an. And Rashi says, Sipra Kosuv Bignuso. And they didn't do it. V'tanach v'pnoter v'yoshrei dor v'pnoter v'yoshrei yivla v'pnoter v'yoshrei megiddo v'pnoter v'yolak dani l'Hashem v'partisot. The Canaanites continued dwelling in these places. V'yi kechazak Yisrael v'yasem v'naknei lamas. Now, in the place where the Jews were strong, they taxed the Canaanites. But v'horish lo risho. But they left them dwelling there, which we know is bad. Ephraim lo risha taktani yoshev begazer. Ephraim did the same thing. He didn't push them out. Vayeshav aktani bekirbo begazer. Zvulun lo risha yoshvei kitron vet yoshvei na'alal. Vayeshav aktani bekirbo vayilamas. So they did extract taxes. Asher lo horish et yoshvei Akov et yoshvei Sidon vet Achla vet Achziv vet Chaba vet Afik vet Rechov. These are other cities, Akko, that they did not conquer, and Sidon, which is all the way near Lebanon.
In Lebanon.
What?
In Lebanon. Sidon is in Lebanon.
Right.
Today, Lebanon.
Vayeshev Asher b'kirvat Tani Yoshvarat Kilo Rishon. Naftali lo horish et yoshvei Beit Shemesh vet yoshvei Beit Anat. They lived right among them. The Yoshvei Beit Shemesh uBeit Anat hayu lahem lamas, and they were also a problem for them. The Amorites pushed the Bnei Dan. They didn't let them come down into the valley. So the Beit Yosef did not do a very good job at getting rid of the Canaanites. That was the gvul of the Amorites. Now,
Ernie, the shalavim they talk about here is the same shalavim or it's
I
different
think
places?
so. I think so.
No fayalon.
No fayalon, because Shemesh begivon dom v'yarech be'emek
Right.
fayalon. It's right near right where Latrun is.
Right near, it's right there. Yeah.
Right where Latrun is, so that's the same area. Okay. Now, Vayal Malach Hashem in Gilgal El Habochim. Rashi says, Shaninu b'Seder Olam Zaya Pinchas. So it says a Malach Hashem, doesn't mean a Malach Hashem, it means Pinchas. Says the Bamidbar Rabbah, HaNeviim Nimshulu Malachim. Neviim were compared to Malachim, Shekachu Omer b'Moshe. Vayishlach Malach Vayotzienu. Moshe is also called a Malach. Licha Malach Haya, Balo Moshe Haya. Ela Mikan Neviim Nikru Malachim. L'cheinu Omer Vayam Malach Hashem in Gilgal El Habochim Vayomer Eletchem in Mitzrayim Valo Pinchas Haya. Ela Mikan Shenikra Neviim Malachim. So the Mesorah is that this was Pinchas. And the Musar Neviim explains why they called Malachim. It says in Malachi, Kisifse Kohen Yishbru Das, the Tori Vakshu Mipiu, Ki Malach Hashem Tzvakosu. Im Doma Harav LaMalach Hashem Tzvakos, Yivakshu Tor Mipiu. If your Rebbe is like a Malach Hashem, you should study Torah from him. Vim Lav, Yivakshu Tor Mipiu. Vine Nachutz Lanu Ladad Eza Adam Nichnas, Begetter Malach, the Eza Hushena Begetter Hazeh, Asher Iev Shal Limot Torah. How do we know who is someone you can learn Torah from who's on a Getter of a Malach? Hanira Lomar, Shazel Ki Hine Madrigata Malach, Hu She'en Lo Shum Negia Atzmit. There's no personal interest here. Kol Mashu Oseh Lo Lechvod Atzmo Hu Daresh. It's not because of personal honor. Kim Lechvod HaMokom. It's because he's trying to teach Torah. V'chein Madrigata Rab Shricha Liot Shelo Yeh Daresh Kvod Atzmo. It cannot be any personal negias. King kvot shamayim bovad. If a Kodesh Baruch Hu made somebody a Navi, he certainly was on that madrega. Gives a nice shot in why they were called malachim. So what does Pinchas say to them? Vayomer aletchem mitzrayim va'aflietchem el haaretz asher nishbati la'avotechem va'omar lo afer briti itchem le'olam. And I'll bring you to the land, I will not break my covenant. V'atem lo techrutu vrit liyoshvei haaretz hazot. I told you that you should not make covenants with the people in this land. Mizbechoteim titotzin, you're supposed to break up their mizbeachos. However, lo shmatem b'koli mazot asitem. You didn't listen to me. What have you done? V'gam amarti lo agaresh otam mipnechem. Once you did bad, I told you, I already predicted in the Chumash that I will not chase them away. V'ayu lachem l'tzidim v'elohem yu lachem l'mokesh. They will be thorns and problems in your side. Vayi kedaber malach Hashem et hadvarim ha'ela kol bnei Yisrael. Vayisu am et kolam vayivku. They all cried. Vayikru shem ha'kama u'bochim vayizbechu sham la'Hashem. And they offered sacrifices there. That's a problem. How could they offer sacrifices there? There's already a mizbech in Gilgal. I saw someone made a comment on that. Okay, up to this point, the halachic status of this offering and the manner of its sacrifice are unclear, but we see that whatever spiritual awakening had occurred here because they wept, didn't really lead to practical changes. Now, up to this point, Sefer Shoftim has dealt with the overall geopolitical situation of the land. The tribes of Israel failed to drive out the inhabitants of the Canaanite cities, and instead they live alongside them. The people are no longer directly involved in the service of God and do not relate to Him in their everyday lives. Although the Mishkan is standing, it's apparently not the center of national affairs. Few visit the holy site on a regular basis. For the majority of the people, it is no more than a theoretical entity to which they pay nominal respect. This section that we're going to read now depicts in a schematic manner the general structure of life during the period of the Shoftim, the judges, while the various major events are presented in detail in the various chapters that's going to follow. This repeated pattern consists of troubles and distresses experienced by the nation, as a result of which they are awakened to remember God and repent. Every so often, when the oppression becomes intolerable, someone arises from among the people and improves matters somewhat. But these changes are invariably local and temporary only. And now we're going to review. Vayishlach Yoshua ta'am, vayelchu bnei Yisrael ish lenachlato lareshet to the aretz. This is when Yoshua sent everybody to their homes. Vayavdu ha'am et Hashem kol yemei Yoshua. The pasuk testifies that during Yoshua's time, the people worshipped Hashem. The Chol Yemei HaZikanim, we talked about Elazar, we talked about Pinchas. Asher herichu yomim achrei Yoshua asher ra'u et kol maseh Hashem HaGadol asher asal Yisrael. They saw what was going on in Egypt as well and in the Midbar. Ayamat Yoshua ben Nun Eved Hashem ben Mea v'Eser Shanim. This is a review. Vayikbru oto b'gvul nachlato b'timnan cheres par Ephraim mitzafon lahar Ga'ash. Remember, Har Ga'ash means a volcano, because they would try, because they didn't give him a proper eulogy. The mountain tried to kill them. We learned that last time. V'gam kol hador ahu nesfu lavotav.
Ernie, who wrote Sefer Yehoshua?
The Navi Shmuel.
And the same thing for Shoftim?
Oh, no. Yoshua was written by Yoshua. I thought you asked me who wrote Shoftim.
Okay,
Shoftim was
Yoshua.
written by Shmuel.
Shoftim was written by Shmuel. And Shmuel repeated.
Yoshua was written by Yoshua, except for those last few psukim, which we said first Elazar wrote, and then maybe Pinchas wrote the pasuk that talks about his father dying.
Right, so now here Shmuel is just chazering over what Yoshua wrote.
Chazering over.
Okay.
Vayakam dor acher achrei asher lo yadu et Hashem v'gam et ha'maseh asher asa Yisrael. Shmuel has to set the picture. He's reminding us what happened. Vayatzu bnei Yisrael tara b'nei Hashem vayavdu et ha'baalim. There were two major idols in Canaan. One was called Baal. The word which means master, for example, when we say a Baal Musaf, he's the master of Musaf. He or a Baal Koire. He's the master of that thing. So Baal meant master. There were various types of Baal, each of which was responsible for some aspect of agricultural growth, such as rain, wind, thunder, lightning. Occasionally, Baal was a locally based Avodah Zarah, such as Baal Tzafon, Baal Chatzor, and Baal Zvuv. Its appearance was one of a person with the horns of an ox, or a person situated on top of an ox. The other major idols was Ashtaroth, a Canaanite goddess whose worship was very prevalent in the land of Israel. She was considered the wife of Baal and was the goddess of fertility and love. Now, the Steinsaltz says, it is far more difficult to worship the abstract, invisible, and formless God of Israel than these idols. Accordingly, the Israelites were attracted to the pagan rites of the Canaanites, which centered on tangible image of a God who can be approached and with whom a relationship can be established relatively easily. Since the lives of the inhabitants of the land revolved around agriculture and the cultivation of produce and cattle, when they experienced difficulties, they would naturally, without any profound deliberation, turn to pray to the local idols for assistance. We have to realize as well that there's a famous chazal in Gemara that those of us in the Daf Yomi remember, which says that when they came back after the 70 years of exile in Babylonia, Chazal davened that the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah should be removed. And it was removed. So we know what a Yetzer Hara, for example, for sexuality is. There's a very strong drive. Now, if you look at a totem pole, go up to Alaska, look at a totem pole. Does anybody have any interest in worshiping a totem pole? We don't have that drive anymore. That Yetzer Hara was removed from us by Chazal in the year 526 BCE. We see in our own lives, we don't have such a, now of course, the Musar teachers tell us that there are other idols: capitalism, commercialism, materialism, nationalism, ism, but I'm talking about the real idolatry in terms of the way Avodah Zarah was worshipped at that time. So so I think we have to understand, because we're going to be confronted throughout Sefer Shoftim with this desire by Klal Yisrael to worship this. They lived in that culture and they were influenced by it. So by Asub Bnei Yisrael Tara B'nei Hashem v'yavdu es ha'Baalim. They worshiped the Baalim. V'yazvu et Hashem lokei avotam amotzi otam eretz Mitzrayim. And they left Hashem. V'yalchu achrei Elohim acherim. Melohei amim asher sivoteihem v'yishtachavu lehem v'yachisus Hashem. Very hard psukim to read. Very hard psukim to read for us. V'yazvu et Hashem v'yavdu laBaal v'lashtarot. Vayachaf Hashem b'Yisrael, vayitneim biyad shosim. Shosim are like enemies. Vayashosu osam, and they were, they what is it? How does he say there?
Marauders. They're like gang marauders.
Right. Vayim kirem biyad ovehem misaviv. We were sold to our enemies around us. V'lo yachlu od lamod lifnei ovehem. They couldn't stand. Whatever they did, the Yad Hashem was for them bad. And that's Kasher Diber Hashem. Hashem promised them that. Kasher Nishba Hashem lehem bayitzar lehem ma'od. It was very difficult for them. Now comes the most important pasuk we're going to learn today. Vayokem Hashem Shoftim. Hashem would bring Shoftim, judges. Vayoshium Miyad Shoseyim, and the Shoftim would save them from the marauders. However, Gamel Shofteim lo Shamei. Then Klal Yisrael would stop listening to the Shoftim. Ki zanu achrei Elohim acherim vayishtach lehem saru ma'hem min haderech asher alchu avotam lishmor mitzvat Hashem lo asukim. Now, what is a shofet? So I want to learn with everyone. Where is what time is it? Yeah, I want to learn the following with everybody. There's a famous Abarbanel. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to save this, unfortunately, for next week. But we got to where I wanted to get to, which is this pasuk that describes this up and down, and when we needed it, Hashem would send us a shofet. So Mirz Hashem next week, we're going to learn the Abarbanel thoroughly. What's the difference between a shofet and a melech? What are the similarities, and what are the differences? And where do were the shoftim part of the Moshe Kibel Torah B'Sinai u'Mesara Yoshua? Where do the shoftim stand in the Mesorah of Torah? I think we'll have a very good discussion of that at beginning our shiur next week. Any comments, questions?
Yes.
Ha'aros?
You mentioned Bilam could have been a Gilgal from Lavan.
No, Ellen, not a Gilgal. Lavan and Bilam are the same people.
Okay, so it fits in nicely with last week's parsha in Kisavo. When you bring the Bikurim, you have to say Lavan.
Arami Oved Avi.
And I was listening to Rabbi Kesselman. He brought this up. So Lavan wanted to kill Yaakov, but Hashem tells him that he cannot kill Yaakov. So I think that, it sort of fits in nicely with Bilam still trying to harm the Jews later on.
Right? Exactly. When it says Bikesh Lavan Lakor Sakol, so it's very good to understand that Lavan, Bilam, the same kind of person. Not everybody holds like that shita, but that Rabbi Krauss has mentioned that to us many times.
Where do you learn it, Ernie? Where do you learn it out from? I never. Where is it? It's a midrash. Where is it?
Correct. Sidney, you've heard Rabbi Krauss say that multiple times. Correct? We don't hear you.
Also, Novel Hakarmi was also the same person. Yes. You'll see when we get up to it with David Amelech.
Yeah, but the problem with that, see, there's a lot of problems with this medrash, because we said Bilam was killed in the Battle of Midian. So how could Novel still be alive if he was killed?
It's gotta be
So
Gilgal.
Walter has a good, I will find the source.
It's not the
There's no
same person,
question
it's a
about
Gilgal.
The midrash. I don't know. You can't. You come up with these things. I mean, it's
Well,
It's a medrash.
Oh,
It's a
no. What's
medrash.
the only thing I said today is Lavan and Bilam, according to some people, are the same person.
And it
hang
makes
on.
more,
Yeah, but
Ernie.
you have to find.
it makes more sense that Novel has the same letters as Lavan is the same person. It's a Gilgal, it's a,
Oh, that novel could be a Gilgal, but I said that Yisro today, I read the Medrash, it's not me, the Medrash, the Alshich brought the Zohar that said that Yisro was the good part of Cain. That's why they're called the Cani.
correct, right.
So what else, Walter, did you want to, what other source?
Just, I would love to hear the source really from the source. What it means.
Okay, I'll bring that to you, Mirz Hashem, next week.
Okay, can't
Yeah.
wait.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Good weekend.
I missed the part on